Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're taking a look at something really interesting happening across Canada. It's this remarkable rise of Punjabi entrepreneurship. What's actually driving it all? And, what can we learn?
That's a great question. And yeah, that's exactly what we're aiming for in this deep dive. We want to unpack that unique mix you've got: culture, community strength, and just sheer innovation feeding this. The idea is to give you some real insights, maybe some surprising facts, and definitely some takeaways. And we've looked at quite a bit academic stuff, community views, and some really compelling real-world stories.
Okay, let's start with the scale then, because the numbers themselves tell a story, don't they? We're talking, what, around 942,000 Punjabi Canadians, so that's about 2.6% of the whole country, and they're really concentrated, right? Especially Ontario, nearly 400,000, and BC, over 300,000. That's more than just numbers. Feels like there's an ecosystem there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It really is an ecosystem. And what's fascinating is how these concentrations, these network-rich enclaves, as researchers call them, they create this, well, fertile ground for business.
Yeah.
Think about Vancouver's Punjabi market.
Yeah.
That density, it's not just people. It helps build trust networks, makes it easier to get funding sometimes. Word of mouth works really well. People even learn trades informally. Shared culture makes serving customers easier, too. It really lets niche markets bloom. Opportunities pop up.
Right, right. The connections, not just the count. That makes a lot of sense. But what about the mindset? How do they actually seize these opportunities so well? This is where it gets really interesting, this idea of a risk-taking, desi-innovation mindset. It's like seeing potential everywhere, even where others don't, and then moving fast, like a built-in way of solving problems.
It really is quite distinctive. You sometimes hear the term jugad. It's basically be incredibly resourceful, finding clever fixes with what you have. So maybe a new immigrant needs a truck for deliveries, but, no capital. Instead of waiting for a loan, maybe they pool money with family or fix up an old vehicle for a specific job. That's jugad. And then there's this swag factor people mentioned. It's not just being confident. It's more about how business gets done, bold negotiation, maybe using humor to connect, relying on that community trust. And these things help launch all sorts of ventures, from like huge trucking companies to small tech startups. There's this great saying that kind of captures it. Can't find a job, start a trucking company. It really shows that blend of necessity and, well, ingenuity.
Wow, that quote says a lot. Start a trucking company. Just like that. And speaking of community, you mentioned family. How does the family unit itself fit in? Because, Western entrepreneurship often feels very individualistic. Is the Punjabi family structure different, a kind of advantage?
Oh, it's absolutely crucial. Punjabi households, very often, they operate like these tight-knit business teams, sometimes across generations.
Yeah.
You might see parents handling the background stuff, finances, strategy, logistics, while the siblings, or maybe cousins, are involved in the day-to-day operations, sales, dealing with customers. It's an incredibly powerful resource that often gets missed.
Yeah.
Like a built-in, trusted workforce, everyone committed long-term. Think about retail or service businesses. Having that dedicated labor, that mix of skills, maybe someone's good with numbers, someone else with marketing,
Yeah.
it's a huge advantage. It's often about building something for the next generation, not just quick profit.
A really powerful internal dynamic. Okay, let's zoom out a bit. It seems like immigrants generally are pretty entrepreneurial in Canada, and the Punjabi community is really sort of leading the charge within that broader trend.
Yes, absolutely. The statistics are quite striking, actually, and worth highlighting for you. Immigrants are 45% more likely than non-immigrants to start a business here. Now, that probably comes from a mix of things, sometimes necessity, a real drive to establish themselves, maybe being more comfortable with calculated risks. But what's really significant, especially now around 2024, immigrant-led businesses. They account for 25% of net job creation in Canada. Think about that. A quarter of all new jobs, even though they're a smaller fraction of all businesses. That impact on the economy is just massive.
25%. Wow, those numbers are compelling. But let's put some faces to this, right? Bring it to life. Who are some of the people really embodying this? Any standout success stories?
Oh, there are many, but let's touch on a few well-known ones. You've got Navjeet Bob Dylan, founder of Main Street Equity Corp. It's listed on the TSX. Owns, nearly 16,000 rental units out west now. Started very small, really built an empire using that resourceful mindset we talked about. Then there's Manjeet Minhas, co-founder of Minhas Breweries and Distillery, scaled it to a $155 million business, became a dragon on Dragon's Den. Shows that bold negotiation, that strategic thinking.
Right, I remember her on the show.
Exactly. And another one, Baljit Singh Chadha. He started Belcope Limited way back in '76. Now it's an international trading company. He was even appointed to Canada's Privy Council. So yeah, these examples really show the scale and the variety of success stories.
That's impressive. And it's interesting, too, that it's not just, the sectors you might immediately think of, like
Yeah.
trucking or real estate. Seems like the entrepreneurship is branching out, diversifying.
Precisely. That's a really key point. You see cultural entrepreneurship just thriving. Go back to Vancouver's Punjabi market.
Mhm.
It's packed with fashion boutiques, jewelers like Pindi Gold, amazing places to eat, all run by Punjabi entrepreneurs. And it's not just retail or food, it's moving into creative fields too. Think about media and entertainment. Leaders like Sukh Sangera making films, music videos, they're having a global impact. There's this quote from someone in the community basically saying, Canada-based Punjabi artists have taken the world by storm. Canada took over from the UK.
Hmm.
So you have this cultural wave happening alongside the economic one. It's pretty dynamic.
A cultural explosion, yeah. That's a great way to put it. Okay, and there's another trend, maybe a bit newer, this student to entrepreneur pipeline. Lots of international students coming, many are Punjabi. How do they fit into this picture?
Yeah, this is a really significant and kind of evolving piece of the puzzle. It's the future pipeline in many ways. Punjabi international students make up a huge portion, over 70% of all students from India here in Canada. And they're often using education quite strategically, not just aiming for a job, but seeing it as a launch pad for, well, starting something themselves. You see many going into trades, hospitality, or just starting small businesses right away, using their networks, their skills. Now, there are some challenges, of course. Things like work permit rules changed a bit recently since 2024.
Right, I heard about that.
Yeah, but despite that, many are still finding ways, navigating the system, transitioning to permanent residency, and then, yeah, into business ownership. It's a really persistent pathway that adds another layer to this whole entrepreneurial story.
Okay, so wrapping things up a bit. What we've really mapped out today is this powerful combination of factors. You've got the sheer size and network effect of the diaspora, these really strong family-based business models, that risk-taking, innovative mindset, and just very supportive community networks holding it all together.
Exactly. And if you connect all those dots, you see this incredibly dynamic ecosystem taking shape. It's a place where new Punjabi-led businesses aren't just, getting by, they're really thriving. And that means jobs, innovation, a huge contribution to the Canadian economy right across the board. It's actually a fascinating model of how integration and growth can happen, driven by community. Lots of lessons there, I think.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Given everything we've discussed, that adaptability, the resourcefulness, that strong community focus, what do you think might be next? What unexpected areas or maybe new kinds of innovation could be the next frontier for Punjabi entrepreneurs in Canada? Definitely something for you to think about.